How many of us know where we were at on January 28th, 1986, when the Space Shuttle Challenger broke apart 73 seconds in a flight, killing 7 brave Americans? A good number of us, a few of us. How many of us know where we were at on September 11th, 2001, when suicide attacks struck New York City and Washington, D.C., killing nearly 3,000 Americans? A good, even more of us. How many of us know where we were at when 100 jetliners crashed in a single day, killing 25,600 men, women, and children? Anyone?
It didn't happen.
It didn't happen, huh?
No, it didn't happen.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. Most of you probably know what I'm talking about when I say the 10 Commandments, and a few of you could probably even rattle off 4 or 5 of the Commandments. A gentleman named Richard Stern wrote a book called The Whole of the Gospel. Mr. Stearns is a reluctant world relief organizer that wrote this book, The Whole of the Gospel. And in it, he declares that the second most important commandment is to love your neighbor as yourself. The first is to love God, of course. You may be thinking, I can love my neighbor. The woman across the street from me is delightful. She brings over cookies. I can do that. Mr. Stern's idea is that your neighbor is not just the person who lives across the street. It's also the 36% of Detroiters that live below the poverty line, just 20 miles away from us. It's also the 40% of the world's population that lives on less than $2 a day. In the mid-20th century, there was 3 issues to address both the local and the global poor. There was awareness, there was access, and there was ability. In 2012, we have access, even to the far reaches of the global poor. And we all know we have the ability to do more. It's really awareness. It's not that we're really not unaware of a situation. It's actually our heightened awareness through TV, advertisements, that have almost made us somewhat cynical to giving. Who are our neighbors? As I've already mentioned, 40% of the world's population, 2.6 billion people, live on less than $2 a day. 15%, a billion people, live on less than $1. How do you put that in context? Us Americans, only 4.5% of the total world population, live on $105 a day. And that's the average. That's assuming a $38,000 salary. We're more aware of the people here are close to us than we are the plight of those not too far from us. We're more aware of the suffering of our own children than we are the suffering 20 miles away or thousands of miles away. This may be why that only 4% of all U.S. charitable giving goes to international causes. I'd like to share with you a call to action from what I viewed as an unlikely person, Bono, the front man for U2. We can be the generation that no longer accepts that the accident of latitude determines whether a child lives or dies. But will we be that generation? Will we in the West realize our potential? Or will we sleep in the comfort of our affluence with apathy and indifference murmuring softly in our ears? 15,000 people dying needlessly every day from AIDS, TB, and malaria. This is Africa's crisis. That it is not on the nightly news. That we do not treat this as our emergency. That is our crisis. History will be our judge, but what is written is up to us. We can't say our generation didn't know how to do it. We can't say our generation couldn't afford it. And we can't say our generation didn't have a reason to do it. It is up to us. Back to the 100 jetliners. They crashed today, they crashed tomorrow, and they're going to crash again tomorrow. No, there really weren't 100 jetliners. The 100 jetliners represents the 25,600 men, women, and children globally that die every day from malnutrition, disease, abandonment, and lost hope. Our heightened awareness actually puts less awareness of what is actually happening, again, thousands and thousands of miles away. So what are we going to do about it? We are more compelled by our own children than the suffering of millions of people throughout the world. You know, baby Jason, baby Berga, Joe Jr. Can you imagine a place where we would give up a child just so they wouldn't starve? Give it to someone to take care of it so they would live. It's unthinkable for us. What would you do if it was your child?